Well, hello, fellow Maximum Overdrive and RC enthusiasts, and welcome to part one of my build. So, this is an interesting one for me because I typically don't do videos like this, so I'm a little out of my element here. But I figured I'd take you through. Someone said I should document this. It'd be cool to put on YouTube. This is a project I've been trying to do for a long time. I've actually attempted this 2 other times, but because of my attention to detail and it wasn't coming out right, I abandoned both projects. So we bought a house at the beginning of the year and I decided to do it right. Invested a bunch of money in 3D models. Bella, stop. And here we are at the moment, part 1 of the build. This is actually, you know what? Why don't we start with the most important part? The first part that I got done and the part that I was worried about most. The most important part of this build is getting the head right. And if anyone else has attempted this, you know that none of the ones on the market are even remotely close to the movie. So I got lucky with this, and I was able to get a model of the head that was actually modeled off of one of the busts from Goblin Project. And this is actually, I just finished this. This was actually supposed to be a practice head for me, and it came out so good I might actually use it on the build. I got probably 7 to 8 hours in smoothing in this, sanding, filling, priming, and repeating before I got any of the airbrushing done. And one thing I should mention, I've never done a scratch build and I've never done any kind of airbrushing, so this is all a learning experience for me. But yeah, actually, so let's take a look at one of the heads that hasn't been body worked. I'm going to try and move around. I'm actually doing this on my iPhone, so I apologize if I kind of kick you guys around a little bit. So if you want to see how much work was done on one of these to get it to look like that, this is one of the heads straight off the printer. And it's hard to see in white, that's why I got a painted one next to it, but the model of this, while close to the truck, is very imperfect. There's a lot of divots. I had to do a lot of reshaping, you'll see once I bring up the other one. But that's straight off the printer. This one I added color to so you could see how it looks with all the layer lines and stuff. You can see the divots in the cheek. I reworked the chin on the finished model. The head wasn't rounded. This is actually the first thing I actually airbrushed when I got the airbrush home. I was testing it out. So side by side, I mean, there we go. So that dude right there is probably gonna be what I use for my build. I'm gonna touch a few things up. I added a lot of the shadowing that you see in there, which was in the movie. I still have to add the shadow around the lip. I'm gonna add some black on each side of the tongue and the lines for the teeth. And so that guy right there is the most important part. And I'll show you how it goes on the hood later, but so we'll move to the actual chassis of the build. This is all pieced together. I didn't use a kit for this. It's all parts I wanted to use and made everything work. This is the first body and head I printed out when I got my printer in the beginning of the year. It's come a long way since then. I've learned a lot and I've cleaned up the print quite a bit, but I've been using this as like my kind of fit guide here. Let me pull this off. Put that over there. Pop the top on this. We can pull the sleeper off. And again, you know, I've got more prints of this coming. I got prints everywhere. My room is crazy. Ooh, we'll put that off to the side. That's going to be a secret for later. So most of this is all true scale. I use true scale rails. Their front airbag system. The rear airbag system, I'll flip it around after. Leisu 5th wheel. These are Leisu. I cut the ends off so I could get them positioned right because they wouldn't sit right with the true scale airbag system there. It's simulated, by the way. It's not a real airbag system. I got these Leisu hydraulic tanks. I used these because I needed the steps, and most of the other tanks with these straps like this, I found I couldn't get the steps, and I wanted the aluminum steps to be painted, so that's what I use right there. I just noticed my floor is a little warped. So I also ordered the Bridgestone tires off of eBay. You got the extra speed 2-hole buds to be correct. These are the Hercules Hobbies fronts. You know, I got the length of the chassis cut down correctly. This is, like I said, this is a learning experience for me. And I'm surprised I made it this far so far. We flip it over. I did not bolt these on yet, so let's get that out of the way. Lisu axles. This was kind of a pain to get to work with the true scale suspension because he had it set up for the factory Tamiya axles. I got my drive shaft over here. Actually, we'll go over the motor in a second, but that's the chassis. It's pretty simple. I got a few more cross members I got to add in. I still got to do some stuff to that, and we'll get it painted. That'll be a part 2 type of thing. I still got some fitment to do on that. Forget I'm holding a camera. Like I said, I don't do this often, so bear with me. We'll try and get better as we go along because this might turn into a series as a... You know, that little guy back there, we're actually going to try and do a few trucks from the movie. Yeah, my goal with this is to do the truck as close as possible. I know a lot of people have done it, and a lot of people have done a good job. But with my particular, let's say, quirks, personality quirks, if I'm going to do it, it had to be done and look as close as possible, or I wouldn't be happy. It would just bother me. Which brings us to our next, actually, you know what? So this is going to be the motor and transmission I'm using. This is the GCM LRT transmission. I didn't want to have a shifting servo for it in there. I just want to have the steering, so I went with this. And I went way overboard with the motor. There's no reason for this, but you know what? I'm spent this much on it. I might as well get, you know, the bad boy right there. Electronics are going to be the Bayer SFR01. I needed this because I want to program the V8 sound in there. It's going to have the Detroit, so that's how we do that. And we'll go to the trailer. So this trailer I had custom built by Matt Stahl in one of the Facebook groups. I did not want to use one of the Tamiya trailers because they don't look right to me. We'll just say that. I don't like the look of the Tamiya trailers, so I wanted something more scale. He built it to my spec, and it was a debate as to whether the trailer in the movie was a 40 or a 45. I drive a 40 in real life, and I felt the trailer in the movie probably was longer than that, but I couldn't be sure. I went with a 45-inch scale, 45-foot scale. You know, that's what I wanted. It was a 3-inch difference is what it breaks down to, so I don't think it's that noticeable if it is off, but he did a great job on this trailer. We got the back. I mean, when this is done, it's going to be spot on. And that brings, you know, I also printed out Dayton wheels with the Lisu on there right now. Go around to the front. I mean, this is just, it doesn't really get more scale than that now, does it? And of course we had to get the little first gear in there. This guy came in the other day. That's just wild. I think First Gear did a great job with these. So let's get that out of the way. And of course, you know, Matt made the tops of these magnetic. And the plan is, I'm going to put a floor in there. And I'm going to put a Bluetooth speaker. So that way, when I'm driving it, and it's going to be loaded with all AC/DC's Who Made Who soundtrack in there. I think that'll be pretty neat. That's the trailer, and I guess we'll go over this real quick. So this, as I mentioned, we are going to be doing a few trucks from the movie over the next couple of years here. And this is going to be the second one that I'm going to do. If anyone's a fan of the movie, you know what this is going to be. Bright orange, the big truck. This is actually a later year Transtart. Bella, stop it. I can't find the exact year for a 3D model, and I'm not paying for any more models to be done. I invested quite a bit. I have like 10 models on file right now. So this is going to be close enough. I don't think, I mean, unless you're as neurotic as me, you're not going to notice the difference once this is done. But that's the big truck. I got all the accessories for it. We'll start working on that next. I also have the B61 that chases Curtis down the highway. I got a Mack R Series as the gas truck. I'm working on the auto car for Zeke's. We obviously have to do a Zeke's. And there's a few other secret ones I'm going to end up doing as well. But this is actually this is going to be the cab that we use for the build. I still got a little work to go, but this one's almost body worked enough to lay down an actual layer of paint. Some black on there to see how it was gonna look and what else I was gonna need to work out of the finish. And although I can see all this stuff, I can't feel it. So I just think it needs a thicker coat. We'll try that this weekend. This was gonna be an experiment. So all this stuff is new to me, like I mentioned. So even the 3D printing, I've just been getting better and better over the months. I actually sold a lot of the Transtars. So actually, let me go back over this real quick. This print is off of an FDM printer. And although the light makes it look like you can see layer lines, the surface, when you feel it, is pretty smooth. I've sold a lot of these, actually, to cover the cost of the printer. I've also sold a lot of the Mack R Series. And this isn't like a sales advertisement. I'm not going to post where I sell these or anything like that, but, you know, we've just gotten better and better at printing. This is straight off the printer. I pulled this off the printer probably 45 minutes ago. The only thing I noticed is my build plate needs a little work there. But yeah, so our prints are getting better and better. We're also learning things. So I learned how to combine files in my printer. This one had a lot of issues, but my experiment worked and I was able to print it all as one piece. The only problem with this, and why I'm ultimately not going this way, is these tight crevices that would be nearly impossible to clean up and get finished in there. And I hadn't thought about that when I was setting this up to print. And when it came off, I was pretty excited. And that was quickly countered with, how the hell am I gonna get in there, clean that up, and finish it? So we just chalked that up to, that was fun, but that's not gonna work. Which brings us to this again, and how we're gonna end up fitting this on the hood. And this is pretty simple. This is gonna scare you. This is what the back of this looks like. This print's hollow. I cut this back off once it comes off the printer, and I don't really want to take this off the clips at the moment, but wait, it's just easy. It just goes onto the front. I'll secure it on, and like I said, this was supposed to be a practice piece, so I wasn't planning on having to do all this. But once this is secured to the hood, once I have a hood finished, I'm going to actually finish it, bodywork it, paint it black. Everything's going to be finished beforehand. Then we'll affix it to the hood. We'll build out to the back of the head a little bit to the hood, and we'll just do touch-ups as needed. I think that's going to be the easiest way to do this. But, I mean, there you go. That was the part I was worried about most, and so far it came out pretty good. I mean, not bad for a beginner airbrusher, right? I'm going to go in and touch a few things up. But that's it in a nutshell. We'll be back at some point with a part 2 of this build. I plan on getting this painted within the next week or two. I'm gonna teach myself how to make a stencil because I want to airbrush the sides. I'm not sure if I'm gonna attempt to airbrush the clown on the back. We'll see what happens there. I mean, this is all just learning. We'll see. But yeah. Feel free to leave any comments. Let me know what I should be doing in these videos as well. If I'm going to do more of these, because we'll document the big truck once we get to it. Maybe I'll bring the camera out to the paint booth when I'm laying down some paint, and we'll see how we do there. But just let me know the format if anyone's actually watching this. Any of you fans here. Oh, you know what? I didn't really go over the origin of why this is important to me. So, I first saw this movie when I was 7 years old. I think it was 1990. It was at my aunt's house. They played it for me, and it instantly became my favorite movie. As cheesy as it was, I was a little kid that loved trucks, and when I saw this movie, that was it. It's been my favorite ever since. We watch it all the time. And, yeah, it's actually the reason why I drive tractor trailers in real life now. It's my career. I drive LTL, so I have a thing for trucks. I had a pretty good collection of vintage RC trucks, and that's what I'm down to at the moment. When we moved, I had to get rid of a lot of stuff to buy the house. But we're slowly building it back up. Yeah, like I said, just leave some comments. Let me know how I should format these, if I can do better talking. I'm not sure how this video came out, and I'm not even sure if I'm going to edit it. I might just put it up on YouTube and see what happens. All right. Have a good one. We'll see you in the next one.